Hey guys, it's Brant within my head channel, and I'm back with another The Panel Has Spoken video. And I've got special guest Ed Spangenberg from Klickteeshop, representing Klickteeshop. You've seen my shirts that me and Rick wears. They come from this guy right here. And so Ed is going to be our guest today for The Panel Has Spoken for Ace Frehley. And Ed also has a exciting thing that's going on with Klickteeshop. So Ed, why don't you just take it away and let the viewers know what you got going on over there?
Great, thanks, Brant. This is a really great, exciting package that I'm giving away to my followers of Klickteeshop and the customers of Klickteeshop. The package is a KISS VIP package, and that package includes 2 concert tickets, your photo opportunity with KISS. You get to use your backstage pass with the VIP bar. You get hors d'oeuvres, a dessert bar. There's appearances by the KISS road crew. You get to meet those people who make all the magic happen. Autographed end of the road 8x10. There's a $100 merchandise voucher to be used online. You get the meet and greet laminate, access to the free merchandise shopping that's there, and you'll have your on-site VIP host, which will take you around, talk to you, explain to you everything that's going on there. So it's a really great package, and I'm giving it away because I really am, proud of all my customers and fans that follow me. So I wanted to give something special back to them. And this is much different too from what KISS is actually doing. KISS is giving away, just tickets to the shows, but I'm giving you the full package. So to enter the contest, all you have to do is go to klickteeshop.com. You'll see the link right on the homepage to the VIP contest. Click on that. You fill in your information, and you're automatically entered into the contest. It's that easy. So, again, thanks to all my customers who made this possible.
All right. So, guys, there you have it. And that is an awesome opportunity for somebody, Ed. And I really appreciate you coming on, being a guest today, and also taking the opportunity to let us help partner with you and promote that. And Ed's not paying me anything to do this. It's just I love his merch, and I believe in what he does, and I know that Rick does as well. Rick will be here in just a minute, and so we just wanted to be able to partner with him in this opportunity for possibly one of you guys out there. And I would love not only, I know it'll be a Klickteeshop fan or customer, but I would love for it to be in my head viewer that wins too. That would be awesome.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
But anyway, so guys, go check that out. Go to that website and get entered. When's the deadline?
The deadline is the 9th. So the 10th, February 10th, I'll make the announcement for the winner. And then the winner too has their choice. If you lived in, South Carolina or Kentucky or whatever, there's different, shows that you can use the tickets for, not just one location. So there's actually 15 different locations throughout the United States. So you can go to wherever one is closest to you and use the VIP package that I'm giving away.
Awesome. So this video will be hitting on Monday. It's one of the viewers said it's The Panel Has Spoken Mondays. So this will be hitting on Monday. So if you're watching this video right now and it is before February the 9th, get over there and get that entry in so you can win. So I've got Rick here. We added Rick in after hearing about that awesome contest that Ed has. And so we're going to go ahead and get started on the panel countdown for Ace Frehley. So I got my partner in crime, Mr. Rick, and got our special guest, Ed. And you guys, we had 74 on the panel for Ace. The biggest panel yet. Beat Paul's panel by 4 people. And so there's 71 of you and 3 of us. So we're going to go ahead and tell those panel members really quick, because we always like to have you guys involved. And I want to say also that I'm not able to say too much about what you guys said, calling you out individually, but I will. I do have some of those thoughts and comments in my head, and I will mention them as we go through the songs and as we go through the album. But of course, you have me and and my co-host Rick and Ed from Klickteeshop as hosts today. From Facebook, we have Scott Trussell, Matt Ucci, Scotty Sky. From Instagram, AJ Zetro, Dylan Tucker, Tony P1, Gregory Pegg, Kiss Posters, and Rocker L0270. From Twitter, Bree Life Eternal, Jack Skellington, Tony Rod, Dave Cranston, Eric Mosio, Darren Helliwell, Andy, Where's Drago, Sully, that's a new member, Richie Rich, Tom Dust, Paul Teplius, Kimchi Chris. Remember to check out his channel. Bill Sharp, Jin Shamochu, Michael Motley Boy 77, also new, and Aladio. From YouTube, John B. Good, Emily Graziano, George Doley, Kiss Carolina Hard Rock Metalhead, Les Wadley, Chad Casey, Michael D., Jeremy Kimona, Steve Rivas. This is his first panel entry. Jay Reed, That Toy Bonnie Guy, John O., Aiden Pro Dalton is also new, Lee Gerstmann, Super Kiss 1200, John Howard, Trevor Bullock, Joel Pegg, Justin Churchy, Mark Stewart, Darklight, Brady McCatherine, Joe Nail, which is also new, 3SV 1333, Jay Reiner, Greek Freak, Keith Nidu, Perpetual Art, Nina Cave, Michael Smith, The Michael Smith, Guitar Man, Brian Stacy, Pens Fan 77, Indie Cult Fan 777, John 6666 Steele, Sublime 130, Orville Dunworth, Paul Bertolino, Jay Lee, Kiss Crazy 80, Travis Mulgard, Tom S., Two Gay Dads, Young and Wasted, and getting in by the skin of his teeth, Rick R. So talking about getting in by the skin of his teeth, Rick R. The way this panel runs, guys, the voting, I usually release, whenever I release the video, the results video usually comes out on a Monday. Sometimes a little later if I get held up doing something, but typically Mondays. The post for the next album that we will be doing also gets posted that day on Monday. And it runs all the way through midnight on Friday. You have until midnight on Friday to get in on your results. I had a couple people, they wasn't sure when the voting closed, and after I closed it on Saturday, they said, oh man, I didn't get in. So I'm like, okay, get in. And then even this morning, as of 11 o'clock my time, I had Rick R. say, man, can I get in? I'm like, dude, I'll get you in. It was just one person, because I want everybody to be in, but it gets really hard because I got to do all these numbers on all this, because this is the scoring, guys. So I have to do all this scoring, and it really puts me in a bind to get it done and get it done in time, especially as the panel gets bigger and bigger and bigger. We started with like 30, Rick, and now we've more than doubled that. And honestly, in the 80s, I think we may hit, who knows what's going to happen in some of these 80s albums, because they're very controversial to some fans. So, having said that, we had 74 people on this panel. I just want to mention a couple things about Ace's album before we start, and then go around with the other hosts here. The one thing that I always was impressed by with Ace's album was the second album I listened to when I got this, when I was 8 years old. And I got all four albums at the same time. I got it in the little carrying bag, which I unfortunately do not have anymore. And Ace's was the second I listened to. And I remember thinking that, wow, this don't sound like Kiss, but it sounds really good. It sounds better. And and I always liked this album from the very beginning. My favorite songs on this album pretty much has not changed. They've stayed pretty solidified from 8 all the way to 50, and I'm 50 now. What always impressed me about this album as I got older is the fact that only 7 people contributed performances to this album. 7. As opposed to, now Paul didn't have a whole lot, but as opposed to what Peter and Gene had. But there was only 7 people on this album. You had Ace, Anton Fig, and Will Lee. And Will Lee only played bass on Ozone, In Need of Love, and Wiped Out. Ace played bass on the rest of the songs. So he played. There are several songs on here that music-wise is just Ace and Anton, which is impressive as crap to me. Carl Tallarico played drums on Fractured Mirror, and he had three background singers: David Lastly, Susan Collins, and Larry Kelly, that sang background. But other than that, musician-wise, it was like four dudes, and Eddie Kramer, Ace and Eddie Kramer produced. So just an amazing album, considering that even his own band members didn't have faith in him that he could make this album. Gene and Paul both, we've all heard the story. Gene and Paul both came into him and said, "Hey Ace, if you need help, we're willing to help." So this album came from a guy that had wrote songs for Kiss since the very beginning. Wrote some of I think their classics: Cold Gin, Parasite. What do you write for? Strange Ways. Some songs I like better than others, but this guy actually only had vocal performances on two songs, Shock Me and Rocket Ride. And then he had this album. And this album is, to me, it's not perfect. It's got its blemishes and it's got its issues that we'll talk about as we go along. But in my opinion, it's a masterpiece. It's in my top 10 favorite Kiss albums. So, Mr. Ed, we'll start with you first. What's your thoughts on the Ace Frehley album? Without giving away too much about your picks and your list, but what's your thoughts on the album in general?
Sure. I'm probably like the same thing as you. I got all four of the albums around the same time, and when they first came out. And as far as like each one of the albums, I was a big, and still am a big Gene fan, and that was the album that I was like really excited about, and I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be the demon off the hook. And of course it was completely the opposite. But I mean, I
he
can
tricked us all.
Right, I can appreciate that Gene's album, and I do, and I still listen to that too. But Ace is the standout, hands down. And then I think Paul's is definitely second too, because that's a rockin' one as well. And Pete's I won't even listen to. Sorry, everybody, but I don't like that at all. But Ace's album, it definitely, I probably wore that record out. So also when I was a kid too, I would put that record on and I would, plug in the headphones, lay on the floor and listen to that over and over and over again, that record. And to me, it is a masterpiece, and it is that in my top 10 as well. I do love that album. I love Ace's work, and yeah, it's a classic. I don't think he's ever recaptured that magic and through all of his career to this point. So it is, the pinnacle of, to me, his entire career. That album right there.
Okay, Rick, now that you're back with us, what do you think?
The first time I ever saw the Ace album was 1980, and a neighbor had older sisters, and one of the sisters was drawing this cover. And I remember loving just looking at that album cover, I remember loving it. And, I discovered Kiss in the late 80s. So more evidence that if I had been a fan in 78, I totally would have been all about Ace. Hearing this album in the late 80s on CD, I loved it because to me, it was an album full of shock me's. We finally got to hear Ace sing on Shock Me, and it was like refreshing. And this album, of all the solo albums, I'm a huge Gene guy, but of all the solo albums, this is refreshing. And this is the one CD I would use to introduce Kiss to somebody who doesn't know Kiss. Even though it's a solo album, I think it's a great entry point. It's catchy, it's rock, it's ballsy, and I mean, it's got some great hooks in it.
Yeah. Couple of my last thoughts on it before we get into the panel, into the results, is I think Ace was experimenting just as much as Paul was, but they took two different avenues. Paul's album, I had a couple viewers say the music is great, but and the riffs are good. The song structure is sometimes a little shaky, It's not as well constructed as Paul's are. I had a lot of people complain about the lyrics. That Ace definitely had difficulty with the lyrics, but Ace is not a lyricist. He is not well known. He's not going to write lyrics like Paul. You can't expect Ace to hold up to Paul's standards. Paul's standard of lyrics is he's genius, but I don't want Paul lyrics over Ace riffs. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't be right. So I take this album for what it is. People talk about how Ace isn't the best singer. He's not the best singer. I don't really think, a lot of people say that Paul was the best singer in Kiss. I think the thing that I liked about Kiss was I think they all had great voices, and they all had something that was distinctively characteristic about every one of their voices.
Absolutely.
And even the way they wrote songs, sometimes you knew what a song, if it was a Gene song or a Paul song or an Ace song or a Peter song, before they even started singing. So even their music was stylized in a certain way.
That's that beauty of the Beatles that they captured.
They truly did. But Ace, for not being a great singer, he pushed himself vocally even on this because he only had background singers on 3 songs. So when you listen to a song like "I'm in Need of Love" and you listen in the headphones, where you hear Ace did a lot of stereo separation, a little more than Paul or Gene or Peter did. And so when you hear him, he's singing that low, "I'm in need of love," and then you hear him really high in the back going, "I'm in need of love." Eddie pushed him to really push his voice and try different things. And this come from a guy that sang his first song laying on his back in the studio in a totally darkened room, in a totally darkened studio, because he was that unconfident in his voice to go to this. And just the way they recorded this album, they recorded it at the mansion in Connecticut. Anton Fig's drums was set up on the second rise of the grand staircase, and his drums have a great sound. And not only just, he beats the crap out of them too. There's a couple songs I'm gonna mention where he's just beating the crap out of the drums. But Ace, they did a lot of natural reverb. They would sometimes his amps would be set in a fireplace, or they'd be set in a huge room with rugs on the floor. They did a lot of natural things in this mansion, and they stayed there too while they were recording. So they could pretty much record whenever they wanted to, and then just go kick it in one of the other rooms and relax. So Ace kind of just engulfed himself in the recording process, and he had a great team along with him. I think to be who Ace was at this time, I think it is an amazing record. I think Ace had the potential to make the worst of the 4 solo albums, even worse than Peter, because he wasn't proven vocally, and he wasn't proven musically in a lot of ways. I know people say, what the hell? But he really wasn't, because he didn't record all the guitars on all the Kiss albums coming up. A lot of the rhythm work was left to Paul, and Ace would just come in and do the solos. So he did triple, quadruple duty on this album, recording the bass, laying down all these layers of guitars. Like I said, him and basically 3 other musicians, and it's just an amazing album. I'm going to quit gushing over it, because I do drink the blue Kool-Aid when it comes to this album. I really do. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start. There's 9 tracks on the album. So we're going to go ahead and get started with track number 9. So we're going to start with predictions. So Ed, what did you predict that the panel was going to choose for track number 9?
I would predict Wiped Out.
Wiped Out. Okay, Rick, what about you?
I said the panel was going to pick What's on Your Mind.
Okay. I predicted that the panel was going to pick as track number 9, What's on Your Mind, too. And me and Rick cheat a lot. Well, we really don't, but we seem like we do. A lot of times our lists really match a lot. Coming in at 268 points, and track number 9 is I'm in Need of Love, which really surprised me. It really surprised me. I'm in Need of Love is only three people: Ace, Anton, and Will Lee. I mean, that's the only people that played on it. No one picked this as their favorite. Nobody did. And I picked this as my third favorite song on the album. I love this song. This is one of those songs that if you listen to it, Anton, he beats the crap out of the snare drum on this song. And the solo breakdown where they go into the double time, and Ace is doing the dun 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 dun.
I love that part.
Don't drive while you're listening to that song. Don't drive. I almost got pulled the other day. I was doing 80 before I even realized it. That is such an amazing part of this, not only this album, but that song is just an amazing. They do it again later on in another song, but I love I'm in Need of Love. I picked it as my third. I hated to see it coming in at 9. So what about you, Ed? Where'd you pick I'm in Need of Love for you?
I'm in Need of Love is at number 6 for me.
Okay.
I do love that solo though. Like you said, that it's like a train going off the rails. It's exciting, and yeah, I can't see how that ended up at number 9.
Yeah, I was a little shocked it's at 9 also. I picked it at number 7, so I'm right behind Ed. To me, the effects are so Ace. The effects in this song are just pure Ace. And you can't deny it. There's like a magic to the verses and the melody line that's just perfect. And it's this kind of song that if I was 12, I would totally have a tennis racket and air guitar in my basement jamming this song.
Yeah. I mean, just that very line opening. I mean, you hear that little worker coming in like spacey sound, and just that. I mean, it's just like. It's like, oh my God.
That echo is total Ace.
Yeah. Go listen to the drums on this song, man. Anton beats the crap out of his snare on this song. Okay. So, I'm going to quit gushing over I'm in Need of Love. I hate that it's down at number 9. I think what might have killed this song is the lyrics are a little thin on it. The lyrical content, because he repeats a lot of I want some love, I need some love. But I still love it anyway. I don't agree with you, panel, but anyway. So, that takes us to number 8. So, Ed, what did you predict the panel would choose for number 8?
What's on your mind?
What's on your mind, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right. About you, Mr. Rick?
This was hard. I chose New York Groove because I just thought that the majority of the world doesn't like this song as much as I do.
This was hard for me because I thought that I knew that there's fan favorites on here, but then there's some that once I did my prediction, I started going through, and because I do my prediction before I start really looking at the lists, I'd kind of do that, my list and my prediction, pretty much the day that I post the poll, so I'm not influenced in any way or shaken in any way, and when getting down here in these bottom 3, I was just like, it could be either of these songs. But what I predicted that the panel was going to choose for number 8 is Wiped Out. And what the panel chose for number 8 with 281 points, believe it or not, is Fractured Mirror.
What?
I know. And so this is Ace. This is basically 2 people. This song is 2 people. It's Ace and Carl Tallarico on the drums. Ace does everything else. Everything else you hear is Ace. And this is probably the most experimental musically song of any of the solo albums. You know, you hear the story about the bell, the way he made the bell sound. He was using a double neck guitar, and he turned the pickups down on one of the necks all the way down. That the one he was going to be playing on. And then the one that he wasn't going to be playing on, he turned the pickups up all the way up on it. And so when he's playing, the sound that you're hearing is actually the sounds of the strings resonating through the body of the guitar. And that's how it gets that bell-like sound. I mean, you
Mm.
know, in one of the other songs, he has a backwards track solo on it. I mean, so he was really experimental, and I think a lot of it was a collaboration of him and Eddie. I don't know if all these were his ideas. I don't want to give just one or the other all the credit because I think it was a real collaboration between the two. But 8 panelists picked this as their favorite. Dylan Tucker, John B. Good, George Doley, Justin Churchy, Joe Neal, Michael Smith, Tom S. And I'm probably one of the factors that pushed this down because even though I think this is an amazing song, it's an instrumental. And I'm not a guitarist, so instrumentals have a tendency to fall a little flat for me. I'm glad it's the last song on the album because I don't have to skip it. I can actually, there's many times when I listen to this, it would get a little bit into it, and then I'd go back to track one. I'd rebound back to track one and listen to the album again. I don't usually make it all the way through Fractured Mirror, but I still respect it for the thousands and hundreds of thousands of guitarists that it probably influenced. So I do respect it, but it's just not a personal favorite for me. What about you, Rick? What about you, Ed?
Well, I love Fractured Mirror. I think it's something that shows Ace's talents, his true talents as, composer and writer. And no, Eddie Kramer was probably pushing on him, but to create that and help produce it. But man, oh man, it's awesome. It's such a great tune. And I think that too, when I saw Ace play at the New Jersey Expo, and I knew that they were going to do the full album, I was so excited to hear how they were going to pull that off. They did it with all electric guitars, the Ace Frehley band with Jeremy Asbrock, Ryan Spencer Cook, and Phil Schaus. Fantastic. It was amazing. It really put you back in their seat. They all sat down on the stage and they played it, the whole album through its entirety. They nailed it. I mean, they're such talented guys to begin with, but I personally, after I saw that, I was like, wouldn't it be great if Ace actually went out like on a couple gigs and just did guitar playing, played some of his shows, just a very relaxed setting. I would just love to hear that. Just have him, really, go deep within his guitar and, play his, whatever songs he wanted to, but play something like that and just continue maybe a show like that. I would love to see it. I would die to see something like that. So I'm really surprised that, people really don't like that because, again, like I said, he, shows off his true talents as, a guitar player there. And, as a fan of, lead guitars, that I would love to see him do more of that. God, it's fantastic. And it has to be popular because look at all the other albums that he puts out after that, because he did Fractured Mirror 2 and 3, there's something to it. So it resonates with him too as, composer. So I can't say more about, how much I like it. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
I agreed with the panel. I ranked it at 8, and that was just because the frame of mind I was in making my list. And that's what's awesome about this panel is now hearing your guys' stories, I would probably rank it higher. But I put it at 8 only because this isn't like a song I get in my car and think, I'm going to drive down the highway, I'm going to jam out an Ace song. This wouldn't be a choice of mine. It would be another track from the record. But I do agree with you all that it is a masterpiece. It is a constructed piece of art, and it's beautiful. From a guitarist mind, as a teenager, I probably wanted more of a battle axe type guitar solo or an eruption, but it is a beautiful piece of art, and it's a great closing piece to this record. Kind of like Gene doing When You Wish Upon a Star.
Exactly.
This is a nice, soft is a bad word, but this is a nice, beautiful way to end a solo album.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I want to go ahead. I meant to say this earlier, but I don't dislike any song on this album. This was a very picking some of these songs is like trying to pick which one of your kids is your favorite, or it was very difficult for me. And I'd say, once we get inside the top six, that all the sixes are from six up. It could be one, two, or three for me.
Totally agree.
And I don't dislike any song on this album. Like I said, and I think the only reason why I do skip it, what Rick kind of said, is a lot of times I'm listening to music in my car, and so when I'm driving down the road, especially listening to Ace's album, I get into this, and then I just want to go back to something that's a little more upbeat. But I do totally respect it, and I see where you're coming from, Ed, with the with this album, with this song. Definitely see where you're coming from, and I'm grateful for it because it influenced a lot of people who went on to be guitarists, like some other songs on this album did as well, and this album as a whole as well. So, but yeah, it's kind of sad to see. It actually shocked me to see. Because you'll see whenever we're doing our predictions, you'll see that I predicted this to be up a whole lot higher. But that's just where people picked it. So that brings us to number 7, and so Ed, what did you think the panel was going to choose for number 7?
I was predicting Wiped Out.
Okay.
Yeah, to me, it's just, it's not one of my favorites, and it's not really something that I'm like, God, I can't wait to hear Wiped Out,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It just never, it never really hit me,
Right.
as one of the hits off of that album.
I also predicted the panel would choose Wiped Out at number 7.
Great
Okay.
minds think alike.
and I predicted they were going to do "I'm in Need of Love" at 7, which they've already did. They've already did at 9. So I thought that "I'm in Need of Love" was going to be kind of low. What they actually picked at number 7 at 286 points is "Wiped Out."
Whoa!
So 286 points, "Wiped Out." This is basically Ace, Anton, and Will Lee, and Anton has a writing credit on this. I'd like to know, anytime I see a writing credit, like a co-writing credit, I'm always curious about who wrote what. Somebody mentioned the other day when I did my Mr. Speed demo, and it was a collaboration between Paul Stanley and Sean Delaney. They said I'd be interested to know what Sean actually contributed to that. And and I commented, I'd like to know too, coming from somebody who's wrote songs with people, when I listen to one of my songs that I've co-wrote, I know if I came up with the idea for a bridge, or if I actually wrote a line or wrote a verse, I can go through that song as I'm listening to it and go, I wrote that. That was my idea. This was my idea. I can pick that out. So whenever I see co-writing credits, I'm always curious about who did what. But Ace didn't have many co-writers on this. It was basically, I think Anton was a co-writer on one, and Jeanette was a co-writer. His wife was a co-writer on the other. But only three panelists picked this as their favorite: Rocker L 0270, Super Kiss 1200, and Sublime 130. Wiped Out for me comes in as my 7th favorite. It comes in near the bottom, and I liked this song more as I was a kid because of the beginning. The drum, I love the drums on this album. Anton Fig is a beast. It was a very good idea for Ace to have one drummer on his album, whereas Paul and Gene and Peter had different drummers on their albums. And I think Paul should have had Carmine Appice on all of his songs. I think it would have been a more, but it might not fit some of the things he was trying to do. I don't know, but it definitely fit, Take Me Away together as one. It fit that perfectly. But I liked Ace's idea of sticking with one centralized drummer because I think it helped make his sound more cohesive and more unified. And he didn't need Anton Fig to drum on Fractured Mirror. It's very simple drumming. And I think he wanted it that way because Fractured Mirror was meant to be a guitar highlight, not a drum highlight. And so, but this is my 7th favorite song. It's fell down. over the years for me as I've gotten older. But I used to love it as a kid for the drums. But it fell down for me. So, what about you, Ed? Where does this song fall for you? Wiped Out.
Uh, I think just lyrically, that's where it falls really short. It just seems like, not much thought went into the lyrics, and it's, what I mean? It's just very like very elementary, and it's repetitive, and it doesn't really. I'm not like blown away by it. I mean, it's fine, but again, it's nothing that is something that I have to go out of it, and the Kiss catalog to be like, oh my god, have to hear that song, or I wish he played it on this tour or something, So
Where'd you pick it for you?
for my pick was number 7.
7. Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Rick?
I picked it at number 9, and I agree with Ed. The lyrics are fun, but it's a good glimpse into Ace's comical side, I guess, lyrical wise. I do love the fact that this is referenced in Tom Snyder. When they talk about recording his laugh, Gene says, I think you did it on your solo album. And I assume they're talking about this song.
The very beginning.
Yeah. And so I always like that. But yeah, I agree with Ed. It's not I have to hear Wiped Out today.
Yeah,
so
and I think
I put it at number 9.
I think they sped it up too to give it that wiped out. I think they sped it up. One of my favorite parts about this song to this day, when I listen to this song all the way through, and one of my favorite parts of this song that has kept it to me is the riff that he changes into to do the chorus. That that is so metal. I mean, that is a metal riff stuck in the middle of a kind of funsy, upbeat song. Slows down the tempo to that halftime, and then it's just that's just awesome. I love that riff. All right, so brings us to number 6. Ed, what do you think the panel is going to predict for number? What do you predict the panel is going to choose for number 6?
I will predict Ozone as number 6.
Okay, Rick.
I will predict Speeding Back to My Baby.
Okay. And I predicted Ozone for number 6 as well, that the panel was going to pick Ozone for number 6. And what the panel actually picked, we're jumping into the 300s now at 321 points. What the panel actually chose for number 6 is New York Groove. This is basically Ace Frehley, Anton Fig, and background singers David Lastly and Susan Collins. So, five panelists: Jay Lee, Greek Freak, Jeremy Kimona, Rick R, and one other person picked this as their favorite. And so, New York Groove is my 8th favorite, and although I put it below Wiped Out, New York Groove is a song that if I was to redo this list today, once you get below 6 for me, that it could easily change. Those 6, 7, and 8, they could change around a little bit. And some days I listen to this and I'm driving down the road going dun 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 dun, and some days I'm listening to it and I'm just like, But I remember being a kid not really being much of a fan of this song. It seemed like it was meant to be a radio hit, like it was meant to be a hit, and it was a hit. And it's not even got a solo in it. The drums are basically nothing. It's just clunk, 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 It's just kind of boring for a drummer. And I was a drummer, I am a drummer, so I don't know. But it falls way flat for me. It falls all the way down to number 8. So, Ed, where do you pick this and why?
I actually have New York Groove at number 4. I just remember it, as a kid and knowing the album and everything. And you didn't hear much airplay of Kiss, at that time. And then all of a sudden Ace created this and it became a hit, and I would hear it on the radio, and I'm like, hey, that's my band, So that's why I liked it. And I still like it to the day, and I know it's probably overplayed, and I wouldn't care if I heard Ace play it ever again, but I just loved that the fact in my mind when I was a kid how popular it was. And now, like I said, it was nice to have that feeling of like I'm a Kiss fan and that's my band on the radio, and that's why I picked it at number 4.
I picked this as number 1 for me. I know it's a cover song. I know it's overplayed, but you cannot deny the fun of this song. That those pounding drums. This is the song you use to introduce someone who doesn't know the band to the band. The lady at work who's never heard of Kiss, you play them this song, and they'll like it. Everyone likes this song. My wife likes this song, and she hates Kiss. Like she thinks Kiss is just like a joke. But this song just has a magnetic fun to it that you just can't deny. And so I had to put it at number 1. I knew the panel was not going to choose this as number 1, but in my heart, my fun boy attitude, I had to choose New York Groove as number 1.
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah, my son, whenever we reviewed Ace's album, he said that this song kind of what it did do is it encapsulated the feeling of New York City. He said the clumping drums. He said it almost sounded like when you think of New York, you think of the crowds, you think of the big people, you think of the big buildings and the crowds, the crowded sidewalks. And he said that it almost sounded like marching and the people marching, and just the sound of it, it made him kind of think of New York. And I remember I shared this on my social media on Twitter, but I remember being a kid and just thinking the line where he says, "Here I am in the city with a fistful of dollars," and me and my friend at the time used to think he had a fistful of dollars because he was going to go to the topless bar. Because what do you have a fistful of dollars for? So it's just
your mind is right in the gutter.
It was at 8 or 9 years old. It was already in the gutter. So even to this day, we'll see each other and we'll go with a fistful of dollars. so yeah, it's funny.
Make it rain, Ace Frehley. Make it rain.
Make it rain. Fistful of dollars. All right. So that brings us up to number 5, and number 5, man, this is 5 and up. It gets really difficult to predict. For me, it did, and it got even more difficult to pick what I wanted to be my 5 and up. So, Ed, what do you predict that the panel will choose for number 5?
I picked at number 5. I picked Fractured Mirror. I thought the panel would pick that at number 5.
Okay.
I was cheating off Ed and also said the panel would choose Fractured Mirror.
Okay. I actually thought that the panel at number 5, I predicted that they were going to choose Speeding Back to My Baby at number 5. Because it's a good song, but I didn't know exactly how it was going to fall in with the popularity of the panel. So I was kind of grasping at straws. Still at this point, kind of grasping at straws. What the panel actually chose for number 5 at 335 points, they chose What's on Your Mind for number 5. And this, once again, is basically the same people that played on New York Groove. It's Ace, Anton, and David Lastly and Susan Collins singing. 2 panelists, for it to be at number 5, though, only 2 panelists picked it as their favorite. 3SV 1333 and Scotty Sky. So, but it got a lot of support, got a lot of 9s and 7s from the other panelists. What's on Your Mind is actually, it's my 6th favorite, but tomorrow it could be my 3rd favorite. It could be it's always going to stay in the top 6. I really like What's on Your Mind. I just love that opening riff, that da-na, 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 and then he brings in the acoustic, where he overlays the da-na-na-na-na-na, rolls that in over it. I think it's just a really good. I think the solo's good, where he changes to that da-da-da-da-na, what's on your mind, and he goes into the solo, And I love that little vocal things he does where just before the solo, he goes, "Tell me." He kind of adds a little sass and on the word tell. You can hear it if you listen for it. So, I mean, that's something that we didn't hear Ace do in any song before. So, I just thought it was really cool. So, What's on Your Mind comes in as my sixth favorite. So, what about you, Ed?
I actually have What's on Your Mind at number 8. Not my cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
I it seems, some, again, it's like some of the lyrics just seem trite to me, and the tell me thing is sort of did the opposite for me, sort of put me off with it. But all in all, I don't hate the song, but again, it's at the bottom of my list for out of the ranking that I put together.
Okay.
I ranked What's on Your Mind at number 4. As a teenager, I loved this song, and I would put it on repeat and just listen to it over and over again. And I think a lot of it has to do with, like you said, the acoustic guitars. And he does that like descending kind of coming home type lick in it. And I always loved that. And it was just one of my favorite. I have a memory of being 17 and just having this song on repeat in my room. So to me, I think that pushes it up. It just has a lot. I have a lot of good memories to this song.
Okay. So that brings us up to number 4. So, Ed, what do you think that the panel is going to, what do you predict the panel is going to choose for number 4?
I was predicting Speeding Back to My Baby, so I'm obviously wrong there. So,
all right. So, what do you think, Rick?
I predicted the panel would choose I'm in Need of Love.
Okay, for number 4. All right. Yeah, so you kind of like me, thought it was going to be higher. Let's see. Number 4, what the panel actually chose with 370 points. At number 4, they chose Ozone. So, Ozone is 3 people. It is Ace, Anton, and Will Lee. Will Lee's on bass. And so I tell you, man, this song is just amazing. This song comes in for me. It's my favorite song on the whole album. I love Ozone. And the scales he runs in the triplets is pretty cool. That that he does, that's cool. It's simple, but I just love Ozone. A lot of people, I thought a lot of people weren't going to like this song. That's why I put it down as low as I did. I predicted it as low as I did. But just the stuff that he does, like the off time at the very beginning, that dun 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 dun, dun that he does, and Anton's doing where he's hitting the snare 2 times, and then he hits the tom 2 times, and they're reversing back and forth, and you listen to it, it's kind of like really messing with your head as far as what the hell's going on here time wise. But if I knew how to play guitar, I would learn how to play that riff, because that is just amazing to me. So bluesy, so Ace. This song and another song that we have yet to get to, it encapsulates Ace at his core during this time. And Ozone, to me, is one of those songs. And 4 other panelists picked this as their favorite along with me. They joined me picking this as their favorite. Guitar Man, Jay Reiner, Lee Gerstmann. 3 panelists, because I was the 4th. So this is my favorite song. So what do you think about Ozone, Ed, and what did you pick it as?
I picked it at number 5, and it absolutely is one of my favorites. I mean, if I was to say, like, what songs would I go to if I was just going to pick one song, this and probably your pick for the other song that you're mentioning are the 2 songs that I would definitely be like, I'll pop that in and completely enjoy it just as much as I enjoyed it the first time. But yeah, it was on the heavy rotation back in the day too. It was just listening to it over and over again because it is quintessential Ace and the guitar, and it's a masterpiece. Absolutely, I love it. I love that song.
I ranked Ozone at number 2, and much like both of you guys, this song is so Ace. Ace has a look to his face on the Dynasty poster where he kind of has like a sneer to his face, and it's like a very rock star look. This song is that look in music. This song has rock star swagger like no other.
Mm-hmm.
Like Paul and Gene are cool, but Ace is special, and it's this song that proves that. There will never be another Ace. There will only be one Ace, and this song proves that perfectly.
I just love how this is kind of like Ace's coming out song. It's like his confessional, like a lot of the songs on here are. And the opening line of this song, I'm the kind of guy who likes getting high. I mean, it's like, whenever I hear that, I was just like, when I was 9, I didn't know what getting high was. I was still oblivious to all that. But I just, that right there is just like, okay, I'm accepting who I am if nobody else does. And I'm going to write a song about, actually a couple songs on this album about what I am about. And Ozone, man, like I said, this is my jam on this album. I love it. I love it, love it. So, number 3, man, the top 3, getting tight up in here in the top 3. Actually, the top 3, there's actually a little bit of separation between them. Even though they kind of blow the other songs away, the panelists really started getting top heavy on these top 3 songs. So, what do you think the panel's going to choose for? What did you think the panel was going to choose for number 3, Ed?
I thought the panel would pick "Rip It Out."
Okay.
That's number 3.
I predicted the panel would choose Snowblind, number 3.
Okay. I predicted that they were going to choose Fractured Mirror for number 3 because I thought that there was going to be enough guitarists or enough people that was influenced by the album in that way to push it more towards the top. With busting into the 400s with 426 points, the panel chose at number 3, Speeding Back to My Baby. And this is all Ace and Anton, and on the instruments, and David Lastly and Susan Collins backing vocals. 5 people, 5 panelists: Travis Mulgard, Trevor Bullock, Bill Sharp, Paul Teplius, and AJ Zetro, 1975, picked this as their favorite song. Speeding Back to My Baby is my 5th favorite. I love this is one that's got the backwards solo on it. I love the way it starts off. It just comes in and just hits you in the face. It's like, I mean, it's just awesome. I love the this is a good driving song too. Of course, if he says speeding, it's got the actual car in it. The song that they rented a car and recorded driving the car around. I can't remember what particular one it was. I think I mentioned it in my review video. But this has that riff to it where you're just dunka 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 dunka, doing 95 miles an hour. But it has background singers in it, and even has the female background singer in it. If just because of that, especially when she comes in really strong towards the end, this is the one that has that most 70s sound to me that Paul's and Gene's and Peter's albums are steeped in 70s sounding. But this is the one where I really feel like, oh, this is a 70s song. Is that? And I think it's just because of the way he incorporates that female vocalist. She's very predominant in this song. And I remember this is the one that his wife co-wrote with him. How much to an extent or whatever, I don't know. But I remember being a kid thinking, you didn't really read liner notes too closely. But I remember thinking since his wife was on this song, maybe that's his. I always envisioned Jeanette singing the background vocals. It's just weird things that a 9-year-old thinks. But speaking back to My Baby's 5 for me, I think it's a good song. I love the drums, that little break, and then the little break between the chorus and the second verse where Anton gets to do the little triplets on the toms and the bass drum. It's great. This album is a drummer's clinic in how to play drums for a rock album. How to stand out when you need to stand out, and how to sit back and hold down the bottom end with the bass player when you need to do that. So yeah, I love it. So what do you guys? Where'd you pick Speed Back to My Baby, Ed?
I had Speed Back to My Baby at number 9, but it was like my least favorite.
Okay.
Because it just, to me, it doesn't sound like rocking. And it's like, speed back to my, I don't mean maybe. It's like, it's like, a Vegas show. And I don't mean maybe, right?
High kicks. Yeah.
Yeah. I just never thought, like, oh my God.
And you know what? I see that now that you mention it. I really do.
It's like, I'm a hard rocking metal guy, and you got the background singer. I don't know. It just didn't, to me, it didn't fit in with the album, and I'm really shocked that it came in at number 3. Wow. It's definitely on the low end of what I wanted to hear off of a hard rockin' album. It's the lyrics are, to me, that kills me, and the backup vocals, and I mean I can appreciate the instruments and stuff and the riffs in it and stuff like that, but again it's down on the list.
Okay.
As a guitarist back then, I chose this at number 5. This is a perfect example of Ace solo all throughout the song. And Ace writes those solos that you can sing to. And it's evident in this song. And Brant, you're not alone, because when I was 17, I also thought that was Jeanette Frehley singing in the background. So that I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, and I loved that Eddie had him do a backwards solo. If you listen, the whole solo's not backwards. A lot of people think that it's the whole backwards solo. It's not all of it. It's to about halfway through it. But still, it's got backwards tracking in it, which is really cool. And I've always thought there's a couple things like I've always wanted to do. Like I have audio software where I can speed things up and slow things down and reverse them and keep their pitch. So I've always wanted to speed up Gene's maniacal laughter, demonic laughter at the beginning, and see what that sounds like before it was slowed down, or Ace's laugh at the beginning and wiped out before it was slowed down, and take this part of this solo that's been reversed and put it to what it actually really was and how it really sounds. And I may do that one day and make a video showing the results. So who knows?
Get to it.
You're gonna bring us all to the power of Satan doing the Gene intro.
I'm gonna speed it up, and it's gonna be like, "Sell all your children to Satan."
You're gonna unleash some demonic powers.
I want to hear it.
To hell because of you. Yeah, I totally want to hear it too. You have to do that. That'd be awesome.
All right, so up to number 2. So once we say what number 2 is, you know what number 1 is if you've been playing along at home. So we're up to number 2. So Ed, what did you predict the panel was going to choose for number 2?
I predicted Rip It Out as number 2.
Okay.
I predicted Ozone at number 2.
Okay. I predicted New York Groove at number 2, just because it was the hit, and I thought everybody liked New York Groove a lot more than I did. So I predicted New York Groove at number 2. At 464 points, at number 2, the panel chose Snowblind. And Snowblind, 2 guys, man, Ace and Anton, 2 guys on this song. And this is another one of those double time solos where he speeds up. And along with this solo and the one from I'm in Need of Love, these are my 2 favorite solos on the album. The one on Snowblind, the one on Ozone, maybe a little more. But this is one. This is another one of those songs, along with Ozone, that I think encapsulates Ace. Snowblind is one of those songs because even though he created a wonderful masterpiece and very creative album of an album, he was really heavily into alcohol abuse and some other abuse during this time. So it's amazing he made the album that he did and was able to be focused enough to do it. But this is my second favorite song on the album, along Ozone. And if I could make one favorite, it would be Ozone and Snowblind. They're hands down my two favorite songs on this album. Seven panelists like this song as their favorite song. That's Bree Life Eternal, Jack Skellington, That Toy Bonnie Guy, John Howard, Brady McCatherine, Perpetual Art, and Nina Kay. So, Ed, where does this song come in for you?
It comes in at number 2 for me also. It's one of those songs that just, when he created it, it has such an atmospheric like feel to it. Like you almost feel like you're drunk or you're, in outer space. That whole feeling. It captures that feeling throughout the song, and it's one of those ones that I could listen to it over and over and over again. It's like it is up in there in my top, and if I go to that album, I'm listening to that right away. It's fantastic. It's a great song.
I ranked Snowblind at number 3. I agree with you guys though. Ozone and Snowblind are both very, very close to number 1 songs for me. And just by ranking, I had to choose it at 3. And this has the perfect ending with the Ace repeated over and over and over again. How can you not love that? So, yeah. Just a great song.
Yeah, and the way it just kind of slows down to, nothing. And I love that these two songs, I love that Snowblind and Ozone follow each other on the album. That is just so great. Because, whenever it's that dun 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 dun, and then that dun 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 dun, that's the first part of this album is like some of my favorite part on any Kiss album. The first part of this album is just amazeballs, man. So that leaves us to number 1. Of course, power deduction. You already know what number 1 is, but we're going to do our predictions, and then we'll announce the points and what number 1 actually ended up being. So, what did you predict the panel was going to choose at number 1, Ed?
I thought they were going to pick New York Groove because it's the most popular song that came off of that album, but obviously I am wrong.
I predicted the panel would choose Rip It Out.
Mm-hmm. I predicted the panel would choose Rip It Out because I knew it was going to be a toss-up between Rip It Out or New York Groove, and that's why I had them at 1 and 2 predicted. And I predicted Fractured Mirror was going to be right up there with it. But, yeah, I predicted that the number 1 song by the panel was going to be Rip It Out. And me and Rick are correct. And it was astoundingly, the number 1 song. Here's the comparison. Snowblind at number 2 had 464 points. Rip It Out at number 1 had 579 points. It blew it out by over 110 points. This is Ace and Anton, and Larry Kelly provided some background vocals. Again, this is for the most part 2 guys, and it's songs like this and Fractured Mirror that made many guitarists. This album in its entirety, but also songs like Rip It Out and Fractured Mirror inspired a legion of guitarists that would come. You hear a lot of guitarists that was old enough to be influenced by this album. You hear them cite Ace Frehley. Dimebag Darrell is one big one that comes to mind. Had an Ace tattoo on his arm. Huge Ace fan. This album inspired many guitarists, and Ace himself inspired many guitarists. It also inspired a lot of panelists. It inspired 39 of them. 39 out of 74. So let's read them. Scott Trussell, Matt Ucci, Tony P. 1, Gregory Pegg, Kiss Posters, Tony Rod, Dave Cranston, Eric Mosiu, Darren Hollywell, Andy, Words Drago, Sully, Richie Rich, Tom Dusk, Kimchi Chris, Jen Shimozu, Michael Motley Boy 77, Aladio, Emily Graziano, Kiss Hard Rock Metalhead, Les Wadley, Chad Casey, Michael D, Steve Rivas, Jay Reed, John O, Aiden Pro Dalton, Joe Pegg, Mark Stewart, Darklight, Keith Nudo, Brian Stacy, Pens Fan 77, Indy Colt 777, John 666 Steele, Orville Dunworth, Paul Bertolino, and Kiss Crazy 80, and two gay dads picked Rip It Out as their favorite song. For me, Rip It Out is my fourth favorite. But it just could as well be the only reason why it fell as my fourth favorite. I have much love and much respect for it. I think it's a perfect song, and as a drummer, it is hands down the best drumming song on the album. The little solo that Anton Fig gets during the break before the solo is amazing. I learned how to play it when I was a kid. I've known how to play it for many years now. It's one of my favorite things to play on the drum. It's almost, I compare it to the drum solo in Tom Sawyer towards the end. It's amazing. But hold on a second. I lost your video, Rick. I'm gonna wait for you to come back. Did I lose you entirely, or are you just video going?
No, I'm here.
Okay. It just dropped. Okay, there you are. So this song to me is just amazing, but I've already got Ozone at number 1, Snowblind at number 2, and I'm in Need of Love at number 3. So it had to go to number 4, but it's technically my number 2 because those first 3 songs, I basically love them as a number 1. So Rip It Out's technically my number 2. But I'm not allowed to do that. I had to give them numerical values, so that's where it falls for me. What about Rip It Out for you, Ed? Where does it fall for you?
I had it at number 3. It's just lyrically, it hits the note. It's a great song. It's solid from beginning to end. It's like I said, the drum solo too at the towards the end there. It's fantastic. It's just very upbeat, very charged, very Ace. It's a great rock and roll tune. Hands down, it's great.
I chose Rip It Out at number 6. And again, not discrediting the song. It's a classic song. When I was 17, I mean, this is the song you want to learn on guitar. And I was always more of a Rocket Ride boy, though. So I think Rip It Out, if I had to choose between Rip It Out and Rocket Ride, I would choose Rocket Ride. But like you said, the drums are amazing. And playing with my friend Danny back then in a band, I remember watching him play the drum parts to this song, and they're almost jazz-like in a way, with technique and all that. And yeah, just a great song. You can't deny how good this song is.
Yeah, a lot of triplets in that drum solo. That a lot of triplets. And it's funny that you made mention of that. I actually have it in my notes. This song is the perfect song to have as an opening song. Your song, you only get one chance to make a first impression. And a lot of times your opening song sets the tone for your album. And so Ace, I think purposely wrote Rip It Out. Rip It Out is very much a rocket ride. It is very much, even though it's faster tempoed, it's a shock me. He comes in really strong. Now I know. He comes in with that real strong high upper register lyric for Ace, the same way he does on Rocket Ride, the same way he does on Shock Me. If you listen to the way he sings at the beginning when he first starts singing in Shock Me, and the way he does in Rocket Ride, Rip It Out, of all the songs on this album, fits that formula to a T. So it's like when people listen to it, it was like, oh, yeah, this is a spaceman. This is a spaceman. And then from then on, once he set that precedence, then he could start experimenting with Snowblind, Speeding Back to My Baby, Ozone, Fractured Mirror, What's on Your Mind. He could start throwing in these little bit of different flavors to what he was going to do. You know, it wasn't all going to be chocolate or all be vanilla. And I really like that Ace did that. He could have wrote 10 Shock Me's, or he could have wrote 10 Rocket Rides, or 10 Rip It Outs, but he chose not to. And I'm really glad that he did that, and he wrote songs like Ozone, and even to some point Wiped Out, because Wiped Out is like it's the precursor to Torpedo Girl, if you think about it. Or you know what I'm saying? It's the precursor to some Ace songs that may follow that have questionable lyrics, that are kind of funny and kind of jokey type songs. But you know, it's almost like he was laying the groundwork here for what he was going to do from then on. And he had a lot more tracks. He had 4 tracks on. He had 3 tracks on Dynasty, 4 tracks on Unmasked. I mean, he became a juggernaut to be reckoned with in Kiss because of his performances on this album. And you know,
I just wish and speaking of that, I so wished that would have continued. Like, even if the Elder, you know, I mean, it would have been amazing to see had his contribution continued on.
Right.
How it would have been.
I agree. I would like to see what Kiss we would have had Ace not left Kiss. And I always disprove every time I get the opportunity to, if I'm talking to somebody either in person or on social media. I always remind them very quickly that Ace has never been fired from Kiss, that every single time he's left Kiss has been on his own accord. And even during this time when Ace was looking to leave Kiss to do a solo career, because Paul and Gene were so overbearing, and even with his alcohol problems that they like rubbing his face in now, they were still begging him to stay, where Peter was actually fired because of, you know, and told don't come back, you know, because of some things that he had done on the Dynasty tour, and just because of some of his sabotaging that Paul said was the last straw, sabotaging a show. Peter was fired. Ace was never fired. Ace always quit. He left the band on his own accord. And I always think, Rick, we always think about those what ifs. What if Ace would have not left Kiss, if he would have stuck with it and stayed a creative force that he had been. It's interesting to think about what the band would be like right now.
On that point, imagine how amazing Ace songs would have been on Creatures. Just anything. Yeah. I mean, he would have been kind of diving into the 80s metal sound, and man, I smile when I think of what if on that.
Me too. All right, so that's all we've got for the panel, guys. By the time you see this, Dynasty will be up. And remember, the Dynasty voting begins on Monday when you see this video. It begins on Monday. I don't know when you're watching this video, and it ends on Friday at midnight. So you got 5 days. Let's get those votes in on 5 days. I know a lot of people are looking forward to Dynasty. Dynasty is an entry level for a lot of fans that came a little later. I remember Dynasty is the first album that I bought with my own money. And so I'm really looking forward to Dynasty as well. I've had some members of the panel actually already PMing me their lists for Dynasty. They've already got them, and they're already sending them to me in private messages. So, and I will count those votes as well. But yeah, so be sure to get in on Dynasty and get in on the panel for that. So that's all I've got. Ed, you got anything you want to add, man?
Well, just thank you so much, guys, for having me on. It was a pleasure. And anybody, all the fans that are listening out there, sign up for that VIP package. I'll announce the winner on February 10th. And good luck to everybody. And I hope to continue on with, my passion, which is, building this brand. And there's a lot of new things coming out. So sign up for our newsletter and watch us on social media. And there's a lot of things coming up. So stay tuned.
Yes. And put that website out there again for me.
It's www.Klickteeshop. It's spelled with a K. So it's KlickTeeshop, shop.com. And thanks again, guys. I appreciate it.
I'll put a card if I can put a card to that website, I don't know if I can. YouTube's weird about letting us link outside, but that link is definitely down in the description, guys. Go check out Ed's channel. Go check out Ed's website and get entered in that contest and buy his stuff. Man, this is awesome. This is this shirt. I've had this and it's been washed several times already, and look at that. Look how well it holds up. Rick, you've got on one as well. Represent that. Show that what you've got. I love what you've got. The Phantoms.
That was my introduction to Click Tee. I will never forget seeing that shirt, seeing this Phantom design, and thinking, holy crap. It's like somebody is making shirts for us. Like
exactly.
That's what I want to thank both you guys for. Brant, thank you for doing this panel. And Ed, thank you so much for making shirts for KISS fans. We have waited our entire lives for these.
Yes.
You clothe the KISS Army.
Well, it's from a fan to the fans. That's what I wanted to do. So I appreciate, everybody out there, all my customers and people that are fans of it. So thank you guys. It's great to see all my stuff out there. It's actually, I'm amazed every time I see somebody send in a photo of themselves or I see a shirt out there at a KISS concert. It's great. It's awesome. It really is.
It really is.
It's a thrill.
I need to get me some Click beanies. I'm actually working on adding the beanie as my look. I've got somebody that's working on doing an emoji for me. So I'm definitely going to get me some Click Tee represent with some Click Tee beanies. I'm definitely going to be shopping the website for that.
Yeah, yes, got the Wicked Lester on.
Yeah, and that's awesome, man. And like I said, man, your merchandise is for fans who get it. It's almost like a hidden secret handshake. You see somebody with it on, and you're like, "Yep, and this shirt brings back so many memories for me. I see this shirt, and when I see it, just the way it's designed and everything, I think of Gene's boot on the cover of Destroyer, and it just takes me back. And I've always loved Gene's boots. I thought the boots has always been an amazing staple of KISS, an amazing visionary of it, and part of their as integral as their image to their makeup as the rest of their costumes. But Gene, hands down, has this boot right here was Gene. That was the best boot of all of them, and I love it. I love that boot. So very cool. That's all we've got for today, guys. I'm Brant within my head channel. I've had Ed from Klickteeshop and my Rick alongside. We hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.